Welcome back to another Film Geek video. It's the end of the month, so that means only one thing. It's time for me to rank all of the films I saw in the month of April 2024. And guys, this was a really solid month. I saw a lot of really good films in theaters. I saw some good streaming films. All in all, this was a really solid month at both home and the Cineplex. So it's enough of me sitting here yammering. You know what? We got a video to make. So it's time to head over to that series of tubes we like to call the internet, because it's time to rank April's new movies of 2024. Welcome to the internet, everybody. It's time for us to get down to business. Now, I am going to use the same grading scale that I have used in the past when it comes to the movies. So we're going to do this the old-fashioned United States way with our grading system here. So we have A. A is top-notch, the best of the best. This film is probably going to be a modern classic. And then we have B. You did a great job. This is still a really solid movie. It has some really good stuff in there, but it doesn't quite push it over the edge. And then we have C. Just fine. Nothing wrong here. Right in the middle. Nothing bad, nothing good. Everything is just fine. This is the kind of porridge that, old Goldilocks liked the most. It was just right. And then you have D. D as in, well, you can fold laundry and probably keep up with this film just fine. It's what I like to call a laundry folder. You get a big basket of laundry and you're sitting there folding it, and you can just have this movie on in the background. Maybe you can have some friends over, have a movie party, and you can just talk over the movie a little bit and still keep everything going. That's the kind of movie a D is. It's not necessarily a terrible film, but it's not necessarily a good film either. And then we have F. You failed. Good day, sir. I said good day. You must go home now. You failed. Good night. Alright, so let's get this started, shall we? And our first movie up is the Nicolas Cage-led Arcadian. Oh boy, guys, I did like this movie. Oh, and I forgot to add, I have done full reviews of all of these films on my channel, so if I don't get enough in-depth in this for you, you can always check out that. I did do a little bit more, in the actual reviews. So anyways, Arcadian, this is the Nick Cage-led horror film that was in theaters, had a limited theatrical release, and it's currently on Shudder, I believe. And that one, I really enjoyed this movie. It tells the story of a father and his two boys. They're stuck in this, post-apocalyptic world that's attacked by monsters. They don't really give you much of an explanation about the monsters that come out at night and all. You just kind of learn things as you go along. The film itself has a very quiet place kind of vibe to it, but I didn't feel that it got really as in-depth with its characters as it could. It didn't have as really tight a storytelling as, Quiet Place. But all in all, I did think it was a solid film. It was a really good family horror. I don't mean family horror as in appropriate for all the family. I mean a horror film that takes place with a family. Think Poltergeist, something like that. A family horror film. I think it was really solid, but at the end of the day, I don't think it thrilled me as much as other films similar to it, but I am going to put it right here in the B class for a really solid effort. Now that brings us to a film I just saw here recently, so it's pretty fresh in my mind, and that is Infested. This is the movie about the killer spiders that are in the apartment complex. Notice I said spiders. Last month was Sting. Now I know Sting was released in the month of April, but I saw it last month, blah blah blah, so on and so forth. But yes, this movie's similar to that, except you have lots and lots more spiders, and the film has a much more in-depth story. You have much deeper characters. There's a lot more under the surface of this film than it would seem. It's just not a basic, monster or creature feature, animal attacks film, however you want to look at it. It's got a little bit more depth to it than your average little movie like that. And I really, really enjoyed this film a lot. I am going to throw it right here in the A class. It's our first one getting an A, top notch. I really enjoyed that film. That brings me to another movie that I really enjoyed, and that was Monkey Man. Now, Monkey Man was not a perfect film, but it certainly was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this movie. This was a solid referral go see it in theaters for me. The fight choreography in this film was outstanding. It just takes a little while for the film to get going. Plus, the story is a fairly typical revenge story, but mix that in with the really amazing fight choreography and the really awesome characters and, the acting in the film, and you have a very solid B film right there. And I don't mean B as in B-rate film. I mean it rated B. It's just below A. I really enjoyed it, let me put it that way. Alright, that brings us to the movie Baghead. Now, unfortunately, Baghead really suffered from a lot of issues. This was a film that had a great concept, it had a good core to it, it just didn't know where to go. It was based off of a short film, and honestly, that's probably what it should have stayed as, because once you tried to open this film up, there really wasn't a lot of substance. It tells the story of a young woman who inherits a bar from her father, and in the bar, or in the pub, whatever, in the basement of this pub, there is a creature, or witch, or whatever, and it lives down there, and it can channel spirits. It can channel spirits. Hold on a minute here, I'm going to take a drink. So it channels spirits, and then it can transform into that person for a limited time. I think it was 90 minutes. No, wait, that's another movie. It was 60 minutes. It was just a minute. And during that time, the person, the spirit, has control of the body, but after the minute, the witch or monster or whatever, it has control of the body and things. And like I said, there was a lot of good concepts here, but it just didn't nail it for me. None of it really came together. It seemed like more of a story that should be in an anthology film, not the whole anthology film. And honestly, it would have made a good wraparound story to an anthology film. This movie is square in the D category. Not terrible, but ain't so great either. Alright, Sasquatch Sunrise. Now, our sunset. I've been doing that. I even did that in my review. I noticed when I went back I said Sasquatch Suns. But anyway, Sasquatch Sunset, not Sunrise. And it's, again, another story. It tells a story of a bunch of Sasquatch living up in the woods and everything, having a good old time. And I think that this movie was fun. It was interesting, but it definitely wasn't everybody's cup of tea. I'm going to give that a C. It's not bad. I did enjoy it, but the only reason I'm giving it a C is because I feel like the film is very niche. It's got a lot of gross out humor attached to it. There is no noticeable language spoken throughout the entire thing. This film is definitely made for people who like a gross out humor, and there is some other physical humor, and it's got its good stuff. Believe me, watch my review on the film. It does have some enjoyable stuff, but the thing that really got me the most about this movie, for just its silliness, it still had a very solid emotional core. It really did. It told a very good story without using any words, and it also got the feels a little bit. You got the feels a little bit. There was a very tense moment in the film that really kind of hit hard. So I'm going to give that movie at least a C. That brings me to a film that I really enjoyed, and that is Villains Incorporated. That one I'm just going to put right up here with an A, because I loved this film so much. It's starring Colin Mockery, and it tells the story of a group of henchmen, and these henchmen, their boss, their superhuman boss, supervillain boss, their supervillain boss dies, and so they're left to their own, and they decide, you know what, I'm sick of working for supervillains, let's be our own supervillain, and so they go off on their own. This film is definitely very reminiscent of the 98 film Mystery Men, except it's the villains, not the good guys. It's that kind of a film. It has a really great humor to it, very funny vibe, good story. As someone brought up in the comments section, they said that this film, they did go see it and they thought, yeah, it was a good movie, but they really thought that the world could be expanded on and it would make a really great TV show. And honestly, yeah, I think they're right. I do. I think it would make a great TV show. I think it would be something that would fall right in line on a streaming service like Hulu or Prime, something like that, except the shows on Prime with their superheroes are way more hardcore than this. This movie was very lighthearted. Yeah, I think it would work better on something like Hulu, maybe even Disney Plus, because it really wasn't that, awful, I should say. It was very family-friendly-ish, kind of. It wasn't that vulgar. That's what I'm looking for. It wasn't that vulgar. All in all, really fun movie. Villains Incorporated. Check it out if it's still in theaters in your area. If not, keep your eyes open for it, when it comes to streaming or something like that. All right, good Lord. Talking so much, man. It's making me thirsty. All right, so this brings me to a movie that I did not think I was going to enjoy near as much as I did, and that is Boy Kills World. Holy crap, I had such a blast with this film. It was the same but different than films like it in the past. I mean, yes, you could say the story was just a typical revenge story like Monkey Man, but this film throws a lot more style into it. The main character is both deaf and mute, and he can't speak, he can't hear anything, except that he does have an internal monologue that he could think, and that voice is voiced by H. John Benjamin of Bob's Burgers, and the movie is just fantastic. It's an over-the-top kung fu bloody mess, and it is literally non-stop action. At the beginning of the film, you have a little build-up and everything, and I think it's maybe 15-20 minutes of just, build up and what's going on and world building, and then it just kind of throws you into it, and you have to figure out things as it goes along. The movie has a great sense of humor. The fight choreography is excellent. The cinematography is very well done. As I brought up in my review, it had a very anime vibe to it, the way it was filmed and all. So if you're a person who really enjoys stuff like that, this is definitely a movie you're going to want to check out in theaters. Okay, now, First Omen. This is a movie that legitimately, guys, when I went in to see this film, I was not thinking I was going to like it. I personally am not a fan of the Omen series. I've gone through and watched most of them, and I have not liked any of them. And that includes the first one from the 70s that everybody's all gaga about and talk about how scary it is and all. It just never did anything for me. This movie, First Omen, this one was scary. This is the prequel that tells the story of the mom, and it does something that no prequel, in my opinion, has ever done before, and that is actually broaden the story of the Omen and making it much bigger and more enjoyable and possibly opening up into a new storyline. So be expecting to see more of these films. I do believe the movie did pretty solid. It's a very good movie. It's probably going to be on streaming services here soon. First Omen. I am going to take this bad boy and just put it right where it belongs on A. I told you, I saw a lot of good movies this month. Now that brings me to a not so good movie, and a movie that really disappointed me, and that is Rebel Moon Scargiver. I'm glad I'm not the only person who found that name lame, okay? Scargiver? Okay, Taserface, and I know I've already made that joke, but that's all I hear when I hear Scargiver. It's just so silly and just corny. And that movie did nothing for me. Again, Zack Snyder delivered a 2-hour-long trailer for another movie. We didn't get to expand on much of anything. In the first movie, we have Flick going off to gather the warrior bugs. In the second movie, the warrior bugs are now with the ants, and Flick has to stop Hopper and the Grasshoppers. Yes, seriously, it's Bug's Life. I know, it's the grain aspect. It's the fact that the bad guys are after grain, and it drives me up the wall. I can't stop thinking about Bug's Life when I watch this movie. Except, I like Bug's Life a lot more. I hate to do this, Snyder. I really do, because I am a defender of your work. I really enjoy your films, but dude, you did not nail it with this movie. You really didn't. And to be perfectly honest, I don't know if I really want to see any more of the Rebel Moon movies moving forward. And if you're going to keep doing this, and this whole belief, this whole oh, there's an extended cut that's coming, and it's going to be 6 hours long, and it's going to have both movies, and all the stuff that was cut out is going to have an R rating, and I don't care. Okay, I don't care. If that's what the movies were supposed to be, why didn't you release them that way in the first place? Why did you release 2 4-hour-long trailers for a 6-hour-long mini theatrical event, or whatever it's called, a mini series. Thank you, a mini series. I mean, if that's what you were gonna do, dude, do it. Don't do this. It feels like you're just trying to mooch off of it, Like, I understand the Snyder Cut thing with the JLA did well, and it was very good. It was much better, vastly superior to the other Justice League movie. But it worked that time, and there were reasons why it worked that time. And this time, it just seems like it's just something you're trying to do for marketing and to make money off of it. And I don't like that at all. So to be perfectly honest, guys, I am going to move Rebel Moon right here to F. I'm sorry. I did not like this movie all that much. It was just not a solid film. It was the same old, and I felt that Pixar did it better. All right, that's moving on to Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. I really enjoyed this movie, guys. It was a lot of fun, based off of true events in World War II. This is the beginning of Special Forces in Britain. I think it's the OAS, something like that. Sorry, I don't know all of that stuff very well. But this is the story of how it all got started. Churchill's Special Forces group. It's a great film. It's a lot of fun. It's not, don't take it too awful serious, even though it's a historical film. It's still one of those fun historical films. Great cast, a lot of jokes, a lot of great action sequences. I am going to throw that one firmly in the old B. That brings us to an anime film that I did particularly enjoy. Now, I have not ever seen the series. I am thinking about sitting down and watching it, though, after watching this movie. And I enjoyed it, I did. And that is Spy X Family Code White. And I am going to stick that right here in B. Now, this is based off of the anime series of the same name, except for the Code White. And it tells the story of a spy, an assassin, a little girl, and her dog. And each of them have some kind of secret. They're not a real family. The spy asked the assassin to pretend to be his wife so he could do something. Okay, I don't watch the series, all right? All you need to know is that the family isn't real. They are a set-up family by a spy organization, so this spy guy can do his spy things and not be detected and thought of as being weird because he wasn't married with a family or something like that. But anyways, it was a fun film, guys. I know I did kind of say, I didn't really like the second act too much of this film. I do stick by that, but I do feel that portion of the movie was for fans of the TV series. So without me being a fan of the TV series or watching it, I didn't have enough context for that moment. So maybe when I go back and watch the series, I will have a better understanding of this movie in its entirety. I do feel like it's something that you don't necessarily have to watch the series if you just want to watch the movie, if it sounds interesting. It is. It's a fun film. And I enjoyed it. The animation is great. The characters are fun. It's a solid film to check out. Now that brings us to the last film on my list. And it was probably the most divisive and controversial film of the month. And what's funny is once you see the film, it doesn't really seem that controversial anymore. And that is Civil War. Guys, this movie was great. I really enjoyed this film. I like the fact that it did not dive into modern day politics. It did not pick a winner or loser. It's just basically you're thrown into this situation, and the whole point of this is war is hell. War sucks. War on your own land, civil war, war amongst your people is just stupid. Nobody wins no matter what. And that's what I liked about this movie. It doesn't choose sides. It just shows you war is hell, and that's the way it is. It's a very frightening and just very well made film, in my opinion. So I am going to put this right up here in the old A. It was a very solid film, guys. If it's still in theaters in your area, go check this movie out. Have an open mind about it because it really is something solid and very well made, and it's going to really make you think about things. And I'm not talking about current situations. I'm talking about just the idea of just how much war destroys everything in its path. And there is, no matter what, no winner whatsoever. Well, guys, like I said, there you have it. There's my rankings for the month of April. A lot of really good stuff in theaters. As you can see, not so much down there in the lower tiers. Everything is still up there in the top 3, mostly, I should say. A lot of good stuff this month. If you don't have the chance to get out and see it in theaters, just wait for this stuff to show up on the streaming services and enjoy. All right, guys, well, that's all I have for you today. Thanks again for checking out The Film Geek. If you liked what you saw here today, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Ring that bell for notifications and give me the old thumbs up so I know you like what you're seeing. And if there's one more thing you can do, folks, that is keep watching movies. You know I'm gonna.